Okay, so we will be starting now. Well, I'm Andres from the Decidim team. I will be presenting different speakers. This is Lighting Talk Room 2. And we're going to have 5 presentations today about different topics related to citizen participation and democracy and so on. So we are going to be traveling all around the world mostly. We're going to be starting with Nicolien Changhen, yeah, Frederik van den Bosch, and he's from Rotterdam, and he will be showing us, talking about the proposal rankings, no?
Thank you, Andres. And I would like to thank the organizers of the Decidim conference, all the co-workers. I think it's been a lovely experience. I would also like to apologize because I have to catch a plane. That's why I'm wearing this shirt, to remind myself to leave in time, and that means that I probably won't be able to stay around long after this session. Okay, so what I'll try to do in these 10 minutes is to give you a kind of teaser of a paper that Nicolien Janssen, a PhD student at Erasmus University of Rotterdam, wrote together with me, and which actually has a footnote referring to you, Andres, because apparently you were the person that she was corresponding with about some specific aspect of Decidim. All right. Yeah, that's fine. So what are ranking methods, listing methods, you could also call them. Very basically, the idea is this. You probably, or at least some of you are familiar with this page. These are proposals for enhancements to Decidim, and there's quite a number of them. Now, if you are on that platform every day, then it doesn't really matter, but if you're a newcomer like me, then this is quite frightening. But more importantly, the way we now sort or rank these proposals will make a big difference. There's interesting psychological work, but even if you just think about your own practice, and it's unlikely that you will go to the 833rd proposal. Eventually, what I will do can be seen as adding another proposal to this very long list that concerns the way we rank these proposals. Next. So, the way they are ranked on Decidim is basically given by these options in this one row. So, the default now seems to be that they are ranked by most recent first, but you can also have them randomly ranked. You can rank them by number of approvals, I think it's called most endorsed, by number of comments, by number of authors. And that's all very nice, you may say. Yeah? As a user you can do, or as a participant you can do many different things, but what we were interested in is, first of all, how do different platforms do this? So Decidim is just one example that we've studied. We've studied many others. And is this the right way to do it? Should participants be free to make these choices, or should there perhaps even be other options? And as to the first question, this is a very, very quick overview of what we found. So there's quite some differences between many platforms. At the same time, we also noticed that there is only one platform, quite an old one, which you might know, which is Liquid Feedback, used by a pirate party in Germany. And that's actually the only platform that really goes a lot into discussion about how proposals, especially if you have a large number of proposals, how they should be ranked in order for this process of deliberation to be democratic. And they actually propose one method of ranking that is not used by any of these other platforms. So that's one interesting observation, that there is little explicit discussion of this. And then what we tried to do in this paper is to study several motivations for how you should rank, and to also look at the contexts in which people are ranking, and how the choice of a ranking method should depend on the context and the goal of the ranking. and argue for a few specific claims there. So please, next slide. So very, very briefly, some of the conclusions that we draw is that if you're still in a deliberation phase, so the phase where people are uploading new proposals, commenting on them, amending them, etc., so in this very creative, deliberative phase, there we argue that diversity should be very important, and by diversity we mean specifically diversity of support. So for instance, if you see 5 top-ranked proposals, then they should be very diverse in terms of the support they get. If all of them are supported by the same large group of people, but there is a minority of different people whose approved or supported proposals are not shown at all, then we think this is a problem. Not just because the proposals that are being inspected more thoroughly are less diverse, but also from the user or participant perspective. We think it's really important that in a deliberation stage, you get to see different perspectives, and we think the best proxy for that is the support that proposals get. The case is different if you look at ranking for selection. So for instance, suppose that you take this list to a committee, and you know this committee will only be able to select, to discuss some finite number of proposals, then we argue that you should go for a proportional ranking. So that's the kind of ranking that is being used in this liquid feedback tool. Overall, we argue that there are hardly any cases of ranking on these online platforms that would justify ranking in terms of just the number of approvals or just the number of likes. So this might be somewhat surprising if you think, the more likes something gets, the better it should be, the more popular it is, so why not put that first? Well, I think that's really a problem for deliberation and for diversity. We also argue that ideally, if this would be possible, you should also have diversity at the group level, so that means you should be able to show different rankings to different people and be able to track that. This is probably computationally very hard, but yeah, we're mostly focused now on the normative, and then next comes how can you approximate that, or is a random ranking, for instance, a good approximation of that. And then finally, we also show that there's lots of research still required to really know better what proportionality means, for instance, in settings where you don't have binary input, so approval or no approval, but you have richer types of input. For instance, you also keep track of which proposals have actually been inspected by the user in question. Okay, so that was my teaser for the paper. Then finally, if I still have time, I would like to quickly advertise this network that I co-founded together with Jan Mali and Ayana Navarro from the Sorbonne University. So what is this about? Very briefly, we want to try to have an ongoing network that connects scientists in various fields and practitioners who are all engaged one way or another with digital democratic platforms such as Decidim, Console, but also private companies. We want, in a way, we want to engage all of them and have an ongoing communication between them. So this means we created a mailing list to which you can post messages. Don't worry, you will not get too many messages. So far it hasn't been super active, but we also use it to advertise our events. We have online meetups, and we also have some live events. We had one in Rotterdam this year, and we'll have another one in Paris coming up in June. So if you're interested, please go to this webpage and subscribe. It will not harm you, and it might potentially be interesting. Yeah, and that was it. Thanks.
We have like 1.5 minutes to take questions if you want. If anyone has.
If you have a short question, I'm happy to answer now.
Yeah,
otherwise,
if
if you have a short question, happy to take it now. Otherwise,
it's not really exactly a question, but I mean, keep thinking, because thank you for your speech. Very, very interesting to reflect on that about how to prioritize what people will see first, and we are developing process that tries to help on people reaching some consensus on discussing. So we use opinion polls for that. But I think that the same challenge could be faced by this this as well. How you can understand, maybe based on text analysis and other metadata of the proposals, the proposals that are more likely to have a common ground, and maybe this could be some way of prioritizing based on the stage of the process. I like it very much. You brought the depends on the stage, depends on where you are. So this idea of consensus building is something that is very present to us right now.
Yeah, so I agree. So I think that there is a more abstract problem that you could discuss, which is like, how do we share information? I will stop in 2 seconds. How do we share information in a democratic way? But we wanted to make it somewhat more concrete, so we focused on these rankings. Another thing is if you would show people a grid with proposals, that psychological work shows that that's actually better in terms of dividing their attention equally among those proposals. But yeah, we're working on that as well. Yeah. Okay, thanks again.